Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hello.
We're back.
Happy New Year, everybody. So thank you for being super patient. Obviously, we were supposed to do one more episode before the holidays, but I ended up with the flu and was sick for like 3 weeks.
It was not funny, guys.
No, it was horrible. I honestly didn't know if I was going to be better in time to like even wrap the gifts. It wasn't the holiday I expected, but to be honest, like grateful for the rest, got through it. It was quiet family time. And honestly, we couldn't have come back at a better time. It's been quite a week. And there's so much, and I'm so excited. And even when we're like off, it's hard because the whole point of us taking a break is so we're not writing notes. But I think I was still writing notes. There was still stuff I wanted to say. So it's like bittersweet, right? We're getting a break to rest, but then there's all this stuff we want to tell you and talk about. So we're back and we're going to talk about it. So Mel, these are some things that I wanted to say that I observed during our time away. And it was also a poem. I hope you appreciate that.
I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Okay, number 1. Curtis and Jordan had sex in the room Gregory died in.
Oh my goodness.
So
I did not put
immediately
that
I'm just annoyed with those two. And the moment they stepped into that room, I looked at the brick in the bed. I'm like, that's where Gregory died. And then they went to the chair. I'm like, that's where Finn took off Gregory's shoes. And then when they went into the bed, I'm like, that's that weird circle that's in the wall when Gregory died. So I just want to point that out. Also,
Wait,
Lulu and
I kind of love that because we know that their relationship is really tumultuous. Mature Curtis cannot last long. He barely made it into that relationship with Jordan. So that's very I like that you figured that out.
like I am trying not to tear into Curtis right now, but every
know.
time he's on the scene and talking about their relationship, I'm like, you are the last person to be talking to anyone about a relationship. Every time you have a hiccup in your marriage, you disappear and find a new wife. Like I can't.
Right?
Like this man can't have a conversation to save his life. I think they were at like Bobby's, and then he was like, you know what? This time around, keep your work secrets. Like, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I just, the stuff that he says, I just cannot. Another one, it's become clearer and clearer that Lulu and Nathan are so going to hook up.
Oh my gosh. And they did this super cute video on the General Hospital official page with her saying Lulu's New Year's resolution. So good. But oh boy, coma love, my friend, coma love.
Yeah, coma love. I love that they did that New Year's resolution, staying in character. That was amazing.
Beautiful.
Just to see the actors' feedback or thoughts of their own character. Number 3. So I watched the Luke episode. Okay. It was fun to see all the characters that are no longer on the show on an old episode. But something that I found pretty remarkable is that there happened to be a scene between Luke and Lulu. And so if you take that scene and compare it to Charlotte's relationship with Valentin, it's like night and day. She goes to see her father because Laura tells her he's leaving town. She goes to the pier and they're talking about saying goodbye. And then she's all you're always there for me when I need you. And he's literally acknowledging the fact that he hasn't been a present dad. He's like, I haven't won any awards. She's like, yeah, you have. You're the best dad in the world. And I'm like, Delulu.
Oh boy.
And then she's like, you're always there when I need. And this idea that he would show up, even though he's leaving town, that he'll show up if she needs something. And then his response is like, you know what? You're good. You don't need me. You got this. You're a Spencer. She's like, hell yeah, I'm a Spencer. And I'm like, it was just so hard to watch because it's so interesting how Lulu's relationship or desire to have more than what she did get, and how when he was around or how she copes is by saying that it was everything, saying that she got everything from him and really elevating him. And you see that. And even through the years, you see how that impacts her character. And it's so interesting when you look at Charlotte and Valentin because it's so different. You have Luke being like, cool, see ya. And Valentine's like, I would do anything for you. And like Valentine and Charlotte are just locked in. It's so, so, so different. And I never thought about that until a few months ago. This idea that Charlotte and Valentine is a contrast to Lulu and Luke.
Well, it's like we talked about, before how, Lucky really got that time with his parents, and Lulu's
Yeah,
always desperately trying to attach herself to this name and this sense of adventure. And like you say, creating these stories around Luke, whereas Charlotte is everything that Lulu never got a chance to be. Charlotte is a great
yeah.
liar. She's good on the run. She's so strategic. She's got this powerful relationship with her father. Like it's got to be hard, even without the coma and the missing time.
Exactly, because all this time we looked at it like she was fighting over Charlotte, and it's hard to compete with the bond that they have. It's still something that's present, but realizing now there's another layer to it. It's what Charlotte
Mhm.
does have with Valentine. And Valentine and Luke, they're both wild, right? And
Yes.
unpredictable. But the point is, Valentine held on tight to Charlotte and found a way to make her fit into his world and found a way to navigate both. Like Luke never did, right? He struggled. He went back and
Yes.
forth between his life and stepping into Lulu's. Their worlds never meshed. And even when like Lucky came back, he had that conversation with Laura where Laura was like, yeah, no, like we didn't do you any favors
Yeah.
raising you on the run. And she was able to kind of walk him through his trauma and why he is the way that he is. So, and I think that Lulu has always romanticized that because he
Oh,
got
yeah.
that part and she didn't. But I think that even him, it was not romantic and there's been ups and downs with him and Luke. Like there was a realness between them. And I think with Lulu, she's never really looked at her father clearly.
Mhm.
And it's just crazy knowing that in her evolution as a character, she still holds on to this idea of her father. She doesn't seem to feel like part of the Spencer family. And it's so interesting because on the flip side, you have Laura talking to Lucky and telling her, well, things were really different. We settled down with Lulu. Like Lulu got
Yes.
to be raised in a more stable way
Mhm.
compared to Lucky. So it's just so interesting watching how that Lulu and Luke relationship is still playing out and how Charlotte and Valentine really bring that out. But watching that episode, knowing what's happening now, I found was so crazy.
Cool observation.
And the last thing that I'll say, and if anything, we could talk about it later, but Jason and Britt do not hit the same way Carly and Valentine do.
No, at all.
And I wanna get into that later because there was a lot that happened this week.
Have a logistics corner,
Go for it.
and I've been sitting on this for quite some time. So Carly is hiding Valentine in her attic.
Yes.
We grew up in Canada. Our attics are up, so we have like
Yeah.
so we have like a little square, and it's like like considers your roof your attic space. So
Yeah, we didn't have
the
a
whole
basement attic.
we
No,
didn't have a
we had the
basement
upper
attic. We didn't
ones.
have a main floor attic. We had like a roof attic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, when we finally see where this attic is, and we walk down a hallway, and there's like a regular sized door that's open to like a storage room, like a bedroom that's like not finished.
Logistics corner. I think what's going on here is that, like, this is a rich person's house, and maybe rich
Mhm.
people attics have hallways.
You know what? Fair point.
That's all I got.
I don't live like they do, but every time they went into that room, I'm like, it is a bedroom that is unfinished. They did not remodel. And there is a bookshelf that apparently has enough space for him to sleep behind.
I think he sleeps upright. I mean, you know how I feel about, like, spaces,
Yes, I
Like,
do.
when Anna was in that, like, cement room, I was like, "Wow, wow, way to pull out all the stops." And I mean, the attic is definitely not as bad as sort of like a weird concrete room, but I felt for him. I'm like, "How is he sleeping?"
I know, right?
Yeah, and he even tidied up her tree.
So cute.
That's what I mean, like, those 2 together. Like, there was one moment I know I said we would talk about it later, but there
Fire,
was but there
fire.
was one moment where she goes to sit, he's holding the champagne bottle, she
Mhm.
has her glass, and she just sits, tips the glass, and he pours. They were just so in sync. I'm gonna leave it
Yes.
there for now because we can get
Okay, okay.
lost
I have
in those
goosebumps.
2.
Yes.
Get lost. The trial resumes, and we knew that, right? Because before the holidays, the judge was like, "We're resuming in the new year," and Drew was, like, mad. He's like, "How can we fast forward or rewind time?" Because he's so crazy.
love that crazy man. He does
I
it
know.
so well. Because I literally have so much rage for him when I watch him, but I love him as a human being.
Yeah, for sure. It's like we're, like, hating him.
Hate
Then
him.
meanwhile, he's, like, posting all of these, like, sweet,
Adorable
emotional
things.
things about his life on Instagram.
So
Okay,
good.
so court, all that. So it's all resuming. And when you mentioned that video earlier, like how GH put out that video where Lulu goes, hey, for this, like their resolution was to not hook up with her friend's man while she's in a coma. But it was Christina also saying, I forget if her resolution was to make more chaos. I think it was because she
I think it
hadn't done,
was.
yeah, because she hadn't done anything chaotic in a while. So when I saw her, like, meet with Jacinda, immediately I was like, "You loon, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm just saying, if you were gonna, like I'm gonna say break confidentiality because essentially she saw something she wasn't supposed to, and
Exactly.
if you were gonna cross that line, like, I don't know, why not cross it with Michael?
I agree. It completely threw me as to the direction she took and why she thought it was the best strategy.
I mean, to be honest, when she talked with Michael, I saw her point, but before then, I was
Yeah, I
like,
know.
"You are out of line, Christina, nothing you do makes sense," and I just kept thinking up until that point, right, because nobody had hit the stand, right? We didn't even know that she was gonna call Ezra at this point. So for
Yes.
me, watching those Christina scenes, I'm like, "Michael and Jacinda have a plan. He's been slow and steady from the start. Let it be." You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I just didn't know how Michael would react because at this point I felt like, okay, well, Jacinda's gonna help Michael. And I guess I didn't realize that she saw the witnesses. Because for me, I'm like, this overreaction with regards to a letter.
Yes.
So once she ended up talking to Michael in the end, it kind of made sense. Her logic, I guess, that the idea that Jacinda couldn't corroborate either story. So it's basically Michael's word against Ezra's.
Mhm.
So what did you think about that part? Because that was the beginning of Michael's alibi being blown to bits. It starts with Ezra. So what did you think when that was going on?
Honestly, that was, like, the one curveball that was thrown at us that was, like, a little out there. Because all this time, I'm like, "Okay, well, he's paying Jacinda, everything's fine, we're on a great track," and then when he his dopey loving eyes about Jacinda and about how they spent 20 times together, I was
Yeah,
like, "What is going to happen now?" Like, at the end of the day, all of this evidence is circumstantial. Everything is weighed so heavily on people's reactions, what they say, and the highlight for me, and you posted it, was that he was asked if the 3 of them were together.
that was amazing. That was such a great question.
Amazing.
It was I mean, look, I wasn't a fan of Alexis, it was so crazy. You have Alexis really going after people she knows, like Michael. She even threw
Yeah.
Jason under the bus, you know, what she did to Portia. It was definitely a lot. So Ezra took me by surprise because we just figured as a politician he'd want to be discreet. But I am kind of
Yes.
surprised that since Jacinda was doing all this scheming with Michael, that she never brought this up because I had just
I
assumed
know.
that this was factored into the plan, and honestly, had she told Michael, he could have really advised her on what would happen, right, if
Yes.
Ezra came forward or whatever. They really there was definitely opportunity to work harder together. Another thing for me was Dante. Dante on the stand, and this whole idea that he gave, like, his brother special treatment. I'm like, "Are you kidding
Mhm.
me?" He's been telling everyone who would listen, including Anna, that he's like, "I think my brother did it." Are you He's literally been telling anybody who would listen that he feels Michael is capable of murder. He even, like, told Michael himself.
Yes, absolutely.
And there was just some of the questions, like, "Did you intervene on your brother's behalf?" Like, with regards to the past? That was such a weak point I felt for Alexis to do, to try to question Dante about the past when he turned Michael in and use the words, "Did you intervene?" as if Cross doesn't exist. Because all she had to do
Exactly.
was like, "How did you intervene?" I intervened by forcing my brother to tell the truth. So when my brother, like, committed murder, even though it was manslaughter, even though it was self-defense, even though he was protecting his mom and his sister, I still urged him to tell the truth, and I feel if anything, that would just demonstrate that Dante would do that now.
Exactly.
And I felt like that really needed to be hammered in. Something else that I really appreciated coming through the trial after, like, I don't know, months and months, maybe going on a year of this narrative about how Michael is keeping the children from her.
Yes. Oh my
I was
goodness.
so happy to have, like, people with law degrees in a courtroom point out that it was a court order, and not only was it pointed out that it was a court order, that Justine also stated that it was because of Drew and her decision making.
Exactly. My goodness, like, my feelings go either way with Justine, but right now she's on the side of Sunny, which funnily falls on the side of the law. And I was so excited when she said all of that.
Oh, yeah, I honestly feel of I don't know, like, maybe I'm just being biased because I'm remembering the current cases happening in front of my face, but just the fact that I think that as, like, a DA, she was exceptional. And obviously
Yes.
because, on the rare occasion, we were actually on the side of the DA, which we
True.
often aren't. So I felt like she did a really good job. And even when Alexis tried to scrutinize Dante, I'm like, "Come on, man. There's, like, a good enough answer for this." When she's like, "Oh, you guys scrutinize Willow more than Michael." You know what I mean? That you focused on her. I'm like, they scrutinized Willow because she was alone and had lied about her alibi. But Michael had an alibi. And this idea that it was like flimsy and that like Dante's like, oh, I could have pushed harder. You pushed hard. You tried
Yes.
to get your brother to confess to murder and told him you'd like walk him through it.
Yes.
You showed up at Jacinda's. You questioned her. Like, what more were you going to do? I guess in this context, it was the first time they searched for like evidence. They don't normally double check people's alibis with like technology. So in all fairness, I guess it makes sense. But this was just getting out of hand, the whole alibi thing. Like, I think at one point, whose alibi was it were they questioning? I think it was Michael's. Did anyone see you guys together? And I was like, how much alibi are we needing here? Like, you need one person as your alibi, but then at one point it looked like they needed more alibi of seeing them. And it's like, did someone see you seeing you? It's like it was getting weird
I
in the
think they also
questioning.
did that with Ezra. Like, okay, you were at the hotel with Jacinda. Did anybody see you at the hotel with Jacinda? Are you sure it
Yeah.
was Jacinda?
And how are you double checking what Ezra's saying? You
Exactly.
don't have camera. Well, we know the PCPD and the law and the courts, they're all very like confusing. But it was pretty bad for Michael because it wasn't just like Ezra and Jacinda. I mean, Tracy,
Yes.
you know, kind of said she saw him and that wasn't ideal.
What a move with that big sticker.
Okay, so that part to me was really interesting because after all of these years, they're
Mhm.
finally bringing in the primetime lawyer antics.
Yes,
Right?
totally.
Because when you watch lawyer shows, it's really focused on, like, it's high adrenaline, high stakes, and how are we gonna bluff and stuff like that, so I thought it was really interesting the way that they're bringing in and using Suzanne. It's actually made, like, a run-of-the-mill court case more fun.
It totally reminded me because I watched the reboot of Matlock,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
it was completely right out of there 'cause it's like mild lawyery things, but they use all these, like, bluffing tactics. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I kinda love that they started doing that. Like, look, I was just so entertained by Dante constantly looking back at Michael.
I
Just
know,
every
I
time he
know.
was shocked by more and more information. But another, like, duo that had me all over the place, and I was like, "Oh my god, get it together, you 2," was Kai and Trina.
They're so funny though. Like,
Oh
honestly,
my gosh.
they were annoying for the longest time, and now they're actually, like, kind of silly, entertaining, and will blow this all up.
Look, it's entertaining, but they are all over the place, okay? So one minute, it's like, "Oh my gosh, did you hear Michael mention a ringtone? He's guilty." And I'm like, "He said ringtone, you don't even know what ringtone it was." And
Exactly.
then they finally decided that they should figure out the ringtone. And then right then and there, Trina's like, "No, we're not doing this again. Okay, we're leaving it alone. That is Joss's brother." And then she puts Kai like on the spot, being like, "You did this before. You didn't listen to me. You didn't
Mhm.
listen.
They
So like we're
didn't.
not going to the cops." Like, so she starts out to be adamant. And then the trial goes cuckoo and Drew loses it, which was so fun. It was so
Amazing.
fun watching that because it's
Amazing.
like Alexis had done a pretty great job and everything was kind of over. So after Drew's testimony, going back to Kai and Trina, I was like, what is up with these two? Because they walk out of the courtroom. As
Mhm.
viewers, we're all shocked at what we just saw. And
Yes.
then and then and then Kai's first words were like, "Man, Drew really lost it. You know, if Michael shot him, I guess I see why." And I'm like, "How is that your
Stop.
interpretation? How is that your interpretation?" And then they get the idea about the ringtone. And then they pulled Geo in the most awkward way. And I
Yes.
found this week they poked fun at a lot of these soapy or awkward or weird asks because Geo made fun of them for asking.
I loved it. He was
Right? He
such a
was like, "You know
normie.
this." Yeah, he was like, "You know this is weird, right?" Like, I like that he called it out, and another place where they did a lot of that stuff was with Britt and Brad.
Yes.
It was so good just calling out certain things, like, sort of speaking for the audience and making kind of, like, inside jokes with the audience, specifically the joke about the moss. And the joke about, like, there being 50 people ahead of her, like, I really
Yes.
felt that that was a lot of speaking on behalf of the audience, so that was really funny. Anyways, so these guys are on a hunt for a ringtone. So this is what I mean by all over the place. So they hear Michael's real ringtone, and they're like, "Well, that doesn't prove anything." I'm like, "You just thought when he said the word ringtone, it meant he was guilty."
I know, it's so funny.
And now they're hearing the ringtone and they're like, "Okay, well, I don't know. This doesn't mean anything now." I'm like, "Nothing means anything. I cannot follow these two." And he even said, "I didn't change it since coming back." And then when these two finally hear the twinkle, twinkle, little star that they've been looking for, and it's even Wiley, it's confirmed in front of their face holes. She answers the
Mhm.
phone and it's like, "Wiley." And then immediately they're like, "Well, this doesn't mean anything." And I'm like, "Guys, guys, what are we doing here? What are we looking for?" And I love the flip where Trina was like, "No, we gotta go to the police." Like, when she found out it was Willow,
Yes.
like, for her, it was like, "If it's Michael, we're keeping this
Nah.
on the low, we're staying out
Love
of
it.
this." But when she found out it was Willow, it totally changed everything. And what was even funnier was Kai was like, we can't, because then, like, we'll go to jail." I'm like, Were you or were you not 2 minutes ago saying that when you thought it was Michael, that you had to tell somebody?"
He is just all over the place, and
They
Trina's like,
both
I will
were.
go to jail. You don't wanna be in jail? I will go to jail to go get Willow in jail."
Like, I just found those 2 so funny because they kept swapping perspectives, going back and forth. 1 minute, Kai is like, "We gotta tell the truth. I love telling the truth. You know how much I love doing that." And then the other side is like, "No, we can't now that we have the truth." And their decision to go to Alexis, what are we thinking
I
here?
know.
What are we thinking about this decision? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna, like, pick this apart and make fun, but I will
Okay.
preface by saying there has to be, a method to GH's madness. It's been a crazy week. We got to see the reveal, which we'll get into, but I have to assume there's a logic to going to Alexis, but I am not seeing it. Like, for now, what are your thoughts about who they chose to tell?
I don't know either, like, at this point, is Alexis gonna use this to get more time with Scout? How can she maneuver this to her advantage and
Mm,
also get Willow in jail and also, kinda give it to Drew in a sense? Like, is this
okay.
enough ammo for Alexis to be strategic in a way to solve all of her problems? Meaning, get custody of Scout, get Drew put away for the things he's done. He married a murderer. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
there is some good there, but I'm also questioning exactly why they did that. What's your theory on like how Alexis can help them and that they use this information to best of both of their benefits? Because at the end of the day, Pi and Trina don't want to be charged criminally for anything. Alexis wants Scout. So how does that all work?
Yeah, okay, so a few things. I think, part of why they went to her had to do with a lot of their worries, okay? So once they
Hmm.
realized it was Willow and they were putting all the pieces together, I loved it, right? Because they had been at the trial from the beginning, so they were using all the testimony and all the bits of pieces to kind of walk the audience through the entire story and all of the
Yes,
damning evidence. I think it's because they were afraid of getting in trouble, right?
of
And
course.
afraid of getting arrested. So by going to Alexis, they're going to be protected because she's protecting Willow. So it's like
Yes.
on that front, I can understand that for them, it was safest. They're going to go talk to a lawyer. They're going to somewhat, I guess, get legal advice to understand the situation better. And it's
Hmm.
the safest thing. But it's also a conflict of interest, right? Because you're going in there with information that her client's guilty. Like, as a lawyer, she still has a duty. It doesn't matter
Exactly.
if her client's guilty. I mean, usually they don't want you to tell them.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
don't even know if that matters. But like you point out, Alexis has a duty to not throw the case.
Hmm.
and to represent Willow. And like you pointed out, Scout is on the line. So on that front, I'm like, how would this be helpful in any way to Alexis and her goals? And they're not necessarily aware, that she was blackmailed into representing Willow in the first place. So
Mhm.
that's what's confusing. I understand their logic. It protects them because they're like, we just want to tell someone. We don't know what to do. And the safest thing to do is talk to Alexis because they'll be protected. But what are they expecting? You cannot
I
expect,
know.
well, now that we've told Willow's lawyer, Alexis is just going to go run and give all the evidence to the police and all will be well. But when you brought up this other option of like, how do we all get what we want out of this? I mean, okay, that's a possibility, but it's hard for me to see Alexis, regardless of what she knows, tanking Willow's case intentionally. Like that part I cannot see. Oh, I see it. Okay, so she gets her off and then uses that to blackmail.
Drew,
Okay.
so that she can get custody of Scout, get Drew in jail, and then have Willow maybe serve some like insanity time. And
But I
then she
don't know.
still doesn't get to be around her kids for an extended period of time.
But I don't think so. I think she has to get her off. Like, I don't think she can do anything like that. So it's like she'd have to get her off and blackmail them, and there's double jeopardy. The moment that's
Mm.
also the kind of nail biting piece right now is that they're
Mhm.
closing, right? The case is almost done. They're moving to closing arguments. Now, there's a significant piece of information about who did this. And the
Yeah.
question is, are we looking at double jeopardy? Because the thing is, are we going to have a character in prison? The thing is about a soap is that if someone goes to jail, like, and especially like a main character type, it's either they go to jail and they disappear or they go to jail and then something weird happens where they get out. But if she gets some kind of, oh, plead insanity, she can't do that unless she's found guilty right now, but that would mean somebody would have to expose her. So I'm just saying, like, on the soap opera front, what do they
Mhm.
want to do with Willow's character? Because it sounds like we want her available to be part of the story as the aftermath unfolds, but we also want everybody in Port Charles to know that she's guilty.
Yes.
So the only way that could happen is double jeopardy, right? She gets acquitted, and then the
Mhm.
news comes out that she really did do it, so she gets to walk around free,
Mhm.
but this information is also available. So that's also an option because they've been talking about double jeopardy on the show too.
I just cannot wait to see how the rest of this comes out.
So for me, like I said, we've suspected and figured it was Willow, but it's another thing to kind of know that that's what's going on, but then to finally get the evidence. And it was so funny watching her on the stand talking about, I've never seen the gun. And then they start to reveal to the audience, yeah, she did. She touched the gun. She used the gun. She moved it around. She shot it twice. So it was so crazy watching Willow, and I was afraid, like, 'cause they're like, I know it's her, but I was afraid, is it just randomly gonna be somebody else? And then to see her at the Quartermaines, to see her pull up to Drew's, to see her do the shots, like, all of it was just mind-blowing as she's on the stand being like, "Michael framed me. Poor
No.
me."
She did so good. I know we talk about Drew's rage, but Willow, we knew it was her, but there was a part of me that still wasn't sure if it was Willow or Willow taking a detour into Nellville and not really remembering, truly not really remembering that gap of time where she shot Drew. But I absolutely love that she was able to demonstrate her rage. Like we see a rage face when she's shooting, we see her arm go up, we see it was so well done. Like her facial expression, because we don't have words. Any of these scenes, we're just seeing her actual testimony in court. It was so beautifully done. We've been waiting for so long, and I was just very impressed with how it all came together.
Yeah, and I think that for a long time, we rely on Willow's facial expressions to gauge things. We're like, we know she doesn't love him. We know she's irritated, and we've been relying on her facial expressions for, you shoot him, you shoot him, and I find it's just crazy to watch how controlled she is. Like Tracy is right, or whoever said it, that she learned to weaponize her little damsel in distress act, victim, poor me. And the thing is, though, how well she did on the stand, I mean, that's thanks to Suzanne, because Suzanne let her know her little powers weren't
Yes.
working as so well. And it's like, I didn't know what to think because all of this comes out and then you're listening to her talk to Drew. You're
Uh-huh.
listening to her fan the flames. You're listening to her talk about Jason. She's like, with Jason, he just looked through me. And I was like, did you need all of Michael's uncles to desire you? Like,
Exactly.
what
Oh
what
my word.
what are you saying right now? And then when she starts going off about Carly, and I'm like, again, with the like, I'm kind of getting really creeped out by the fact that Michael is a grown man. There was a court order. He has custody of his kids. And Drew insists on pursuing Carly and being like,
Yes.
Carly, you're keeping the kids from him. Like, I don't know. If I didn't know any better, I would just think you're obsessed with Carly as an ex girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Truly.
weird. It's so weird. In those moments when she was having the conversation with Drew, and she
Uh-huh.
was talking about her relationship with Carly, and she started talking about how she wouldn't let me see the kids when I showed up to her house, and I was so upset, and she still didn't let me. I was like, "This is so psychotic. This is so
Right?
psychotic," because her powers, right? Her powers of being like, "Oh, poor me," have worked for so long, and there's been a lot of men that have shown up, a lot of people that have shown up to protect Willow, and we already had the reveal, so it was so weird watching that scene and watching her kind of basically say, "It didn't work on her. Huh. Like we used to have a good relationship. All my tears, nothing. I just didn't know what to think." It was so weird watching her play this role and pretend like you just don't really know what she is or what she's really capable of or what she's really thinking until her facial expressions and she
Oh,
smirks when Carly throws the drink at him.
that was amazing. Like early start to her face acting because exactly that. She despises this man and she's trying to push the limits of how far she can manipulate him to get what she wants versus, a Carly who she actually looks up to. She's just not sure how to navigate that situation.
Yeah, because Carly is who she is, and Willow is trapped in her own reputation, right? She's trapped
Hmm.
in the perception that she's created for a lot of people. She's basically caught up in her own hype and her own PR. It's just so psychotic, to be honest, to like watch it
Truly.
all, to watch her interactions now with the full knowledge and that look between Willow and Michael. Because I kept
Ugh.
saying, like, when I was talking to Johnny about this over the break, I could picture like Michael gets put on the stand and
Hmm.
it doesn't go how, let's say, Alexis thinks, which is exactly what happened. He was calm. But I was like, what if the explosive thing at the trial is that Michael says he was there and then goes, "And I saw Willow walk out of his
Yes.
place." Because that would have been the bombshell, and while no love lost between me and Willow, and right now I don't trust her with my children, the last thing I wanted to do was out her, so I kept quiet.
Yes. That would have been powerful.
So I thought that, like, something like that could have happened, and then the look
Mhm.
between Michael and her, and I'm like, "This is so weird," because Tracy's bringing something up to Alexis. She brought up when Willow brought Scout to the Quartermaines, and they got
Yes.
into it. I remember Willow was there kind of, like, arguing and in Michael's face in front of Tracy,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Okay, I can't tell because like, we were suspecting it was Willow, we knew Michael was there, so it's like, somebody might have seen each other, and you were wondering, 'Huh, are you guys working together? Like, is that the twist?' But then it's just like, I can't because she's been brainwashed by Drew for so long, and there were so many
Yeah.
times where we thought she would snap out of it, and she didn't, and then when she was there yelling at Michael, I'm like, "Okay, is this, like, hypnotized Willow, or is this, like, planned between her and Michael? Like, did she see him? Do they know?" So I'm so curious on that front because I
Me
feel that
too.
look was him saying, "I saw you. You know I saw you. It's come out
Mhm.
that I was there." Of course, she's like, "This is perfect," like it puts the heat off me, but she must have known he saw her
Yeah.
because that explains his confidence this whole time.
I agree. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. There's so much more. I don't know what next week has in store for us, but I cannot wait.
And other things that came up like with Tracy. So when we talk about we can't wait what happens next, I mean, look, a big one is obviously the Drew one because like, that's what I mean. The truth has to come out. Like, I don't want it to be a sneaky blackmail, like something that
No, yeah.
Alexis had. I want it to really be out in the open, like a really huge bomb. Because I mean, people have said you married the woman who shot you, and he's like,
Yes.
"No, no."
And Chase, I cannot wait to see
Chase.
Drew's reaction, Chase's reaction. Like, it is going to be delicious.
Like, Drew, yes, I wanna see, but there is a part of me that is more interested in Chase finding out, because
Mhm.
Tracy made a comment to Lulu, like, her opinion of Chase saying he was
Yeah.
disturbingly close with Willow, and that if he were to do anything against the family, she would annihilate him. So that's been
Yes.
this underlying story that hasn't been acknowledged directly, right? We were watching it happen. with between Chase and Willow. And then it finally was shoved in Brooklyn's face. And we as viewers have seen Chase's behavior as completely problematic. So I felt like a lot was just sort of laid out this week and just said, outwardly. So having Tracy acknowledge this upcoming storyline of Chase.
I love that.
And it's not just him, it's the fact that everyone was caught up in perception. Everybody bought into Willow's good girl act, and everybody used all of the awful things that have happened to Michael, like the fact that to this day, people refer to his time in prison or him murdering Claudia to paint him as this violent person is
Yeah.
beyond considering the context of the situation. So I
Mhm.
feel like that too, I want that acknowledged by all the people who kept saying he was capable, he could have done it, he could have framed her. I mean, even down to Sunny, he's been pro
Right?
Willow. So I am looking forward to sort of seeing everyone being confronted with that. Because even Lulu, when she was talking with Lucas and talking about her articles, she was like, well, come on, what's more likely? We really think Willow did it. So I feel like everybody needs to sort of stop and question themselves for kind
Mhm.
of doing that and for not listening to Michael, especially the people closest to him. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot there, like the chase, everyone's opinion, and also with Drew, but like it's going to be like this is really, really explosive.
Very layered.
And so when it comes to Chase, there was something that occurred to me. Okay.
Okay.
So I will say this about Dante. I appreciate him reflecting. Like I thought it
Mhm.
was really cool, having Dante share what happened to Michael with Nathan. Like Nathan had been in
Yeah.
the show for some time, and it sounds like this is the first time he was hearing what happened to Michael in prison and about the assault and about how
Mhm.
Dante felt about it. And the fact that it's something that haunts Dante to this day. You would never tell with him being so self-righteous, but apparently
Right?
it haunts him. So I appreciated when he showed up to Lulu saying he questions, everything, stuff with Michael and even the way he's been with his own sons.
Yes.
But what occurred to me when it
Mhm.
comes to Chase is while he's sitting there going, oh, maybe Chase wasn't completely wrong, I realize Chase is Dante from the past, right? So now Dante, for the
Yeah.
first time, has to deal with a guy who thinks he knows everything. And that's who Dante was. And it's weird because he's really caught between the two. The guy, like, so he has Chase, the guy who knows everything, him of his past,
Mhm.
and the one now who's like, well, I'm trying to question myself to the point where I'm questioning if Chase is right, which is like, no, he's not. But like, there has to be some in between. So it's kind of interesting after all these years I feel like Dante finally confronting this, like, of course it was a big deal and it lingered for a while after, but I feel like this is the first time for this historical event, right, within their family to be kind
Mhm.
of dealt with head on. Like it came back up. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't fully continue to be suppressed, especially with this situation so close to the past. So that's what I'm sort of thinking about what Chase represents for Dante.
I absolutely love that because, Dante has come a really long way. Yes, super self righteous. It dips in between his relationship with Sam, all of his PTSD. Like he knows where the gray space is and he kind of dips in and out of it. And
Mhm.
he's still trying to figure things out for himself, that's for sure. But I absolutely agree with you that I love the way you saw that, who Chase represents. The fact that we're actually hearing about this, like this is all very big. Waited for quite some time. Like they dabbled in stories here and there throughout the year. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of exciting things that happened. But the past couple of weeks with this trial, this murder, and everything kind of coming together, everybody having these emotional realizations, the truth revealed, it's just been like incredible.
Oh, it's been a good trial. Also, something that's super funny though, when it comes to Dante, is that Gio can play with Wiley without supervision, but not Rocco.
Wait, why?
Because Gio walked in when Dante was there, right? He was
Yes.
talking to Brooklyn about the case, and then Dante is like, "See ya, Gio," because Gio was at the house
Right.
to play with Wiley. He's like, "You guys will be fine. I don't care if you, like, badly influence Wiley. He's just my nephew, okay?
Yeah, no biggie,
He's
guys.
just my nephew."
Yeah.
But I love
That's
that. I thought that was
hilarious.
so funny. More on like the police stuff real quick. I don't know why, there's nothing specific, but I really enjoyed the vibes between Molly and Nathan. And not because like there's a romantic vibe, more of a like next gen vibe, like the fact that Molly, we've watched her grow up and we know that she like, works for the PCPD and all that stuff. But it was really cool because we still have Alexis and Diane showing up as lawyers. We still have the people we're most familiar with kind of handling all that stuff. And
Mhm.
for the first time, I felt like, oh, wow, this is so weird. Like we're watching a scene where it's like Nathan and Molly, and it just felt like, okay, like Molly is really this for real. Like she's really stepping into her own and she's officially like an adult and she'll be more officially integrated into all these stories. I thought that was, I don't know. For me, I got that like it's official. She's like an adult now.
I did love it, like, I agree. It wasn't romantic vibes, but they really jumped off the screen in terms of, like, how they spoke with each other, their, professional respect,
Yeah.
where she stood, where she comes from, like, you got a little history of who she's connected to, so, yeah, I really, really liked that.
Because I mean, we make fun of the PCPD, but within the PCPD, you've got besties and buddies and people that like and partners, right? And those
Yes.
are also fun relationships to kind of enjoy and watch play out. So I kind of enjoyed that moment.
Mhm.
So while Tracy's trying to figure out who tricked her, like
Who
who alerted
eavesdropped.
Alexis, Michael knows. Because Christina said everything. That's what I mean. If Christina was willing to cross the line, like, what does it matter that you just waited a couple extra hours to tell Michael everything?
I know.
Like, she should have just said that earlier. Oh, okay. Anyways. So, somebody finally missed Anna. Like, Emma had to, like, really, like, scrounge up some tears and be like, "Where's
Yes.
my grandma?" Brendan's like, "What?" Seemed all shocked.
I think he is shocked.
Yeah, I think he is shocked. I think we thought he had something to do with it, but we know
Yes,
that it's not
definitely.
him anymore because 'cause he's been really suspicious. But now he's finally gonna start looking for Anna. I think it's gonna be a race between Anna and Valentine. Like, I don't know what's going on with this story, but I
Okay.
feel like they're just moving it along by being like, "And also, Jens is involved, Valentine, okay?" And then we're like, "Okay, we're gonna push you. You're all connected. Brennan, Jens, you. Let's get this party started and get Anna out of the basement, the attic basement."
The actual basement that is underneath the ground.
Okay, so Valentine, he wants to fled Carly's because, Charlotte came back and she told Danny.
Oh my gosh, tell me all your thoughts on that adorable Danny on a motorcycle embodying his father.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Because when he was on that bike, and I'm like, oh, his mother's son. I just kept thinking about Sam because they were talking about Sam. I didn't even think about Jason on the motorcycle. I was like with Johnny, I'm like, yeah, like Sam fixed bikes. She wrote, I totally
Stop.
didn't even consider Jason the motorcycle thing. I was like remembering Sam in that moment. You know what's funny? I made like a long time ago, I made a clip and it's Sam having a conversation about Danny, and I did a voiceover,
Okay.
basically comparing Danny and Charlotte to Jason and Carly. If I can repost it as a story, I'll repost it. But so I think that Danny and Charlotte definitely have those Jason Carly vibes. I was just stunned. Like we talk about how Charlotte has learned a lot from her dad. I think that's just what the suburbs have done to her, right? Where she's going back, right, to see her dad when she knows that that's a risk. She's telling Danny something. And I loved their little comment. I didn't know Valentin and Carly were friends.
I know. Just the sharing of information, the reactions. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this like the origin story? Like, are we going to hear decades from now, you know, at one time at the Quartermains said, don't take
Absolutely.
Hades?
Absolutely. And I think that everyone is gonna converge on Cassadine Island because these 2 are like, "Let's solve the Jen Sidwell problem."
I know.
And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
word. Two
"I don't
teenagers.
think so. I don't know.
Uh,
I don't think you should." So,
right.
I think there's gonna be a big shootout, probably an explosion, who knows? It's gonna go
Hmm.
down for sure, on Cassadine Island. So, yeah, speaking of Valentine and Carly,
Tell
there
me
is
more.
so much chemistry. Like, on New Year's Eve when we were looking, it's like I'm asking Johnny, I'm like, "Well, do you see it?" Because like, as a viewer, I don't feel it. Like, I know this is the story they're telling, Like, I know they're telling a story of, like, Jason and Britt, and he's like, "Well, no, he looks interested in her." I'm like, "He does,
Oh,
sure, because he kissed her, but it's blah." Like, it does not jump off the screen the way that Valentine and Carly do. Like, they have interesting chemistry. I mean, I'm not gonna say I hate it. It's not my favorite, but it's like they bond, they bond, they bond, and then they have, like, their friction is how she reminds him, "You can't run away with Charlotte." Like, that's their like, they have, like they it's kind of like they're almost making up conflict at this point because they clearly
yes.
trust each other. They've crossed so many lines for each other. This is, like, a secret that only them 2 know about, and there was things where he's
Yes.
like You talk to me like no one else does. You talk to me like a father. Like,
Love
that's
when you said
huge. She
that.
crossed Lulu
Mm.
for him. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
there's just a lot there.
there is the Jason Britt thing, like, we know that Jason has been celibate for a really long time
Yeah.
on the show. So for me, it's like, I don't see it slash, okay, he kissed her. It did get stopped. I don't see it with him and Britt. I don't catch the chemistry at all. I don't see any future. And if they have some sort of lovey-dovey scene together, like I cannot. It does not work for me.
There's just not enough to bring them together right now,
No,
right?
at
Like,
all.
even though this was kind of like, I'm not gonna say it's a last minute story, Jocelyn, but it was a bit of a blindside that Carly would go to Valentine. Like, that was sudden. And even though the connection between Valentine and Carly was sudden,
Mhm.
it's still working, right? They created a situation to draw them together. There's a lot that exists that would bring Jason and Britt together, right? It's just not working. Like, and I don't know what to think because part of me is like, honestly, they're probably gonna put them together and the whole Brad warning is a fake out. Because I'm like, how unsalacious is this to do a Jason Britt thing? And then it's true. You're just never gonna fit into his world. It's like it doesn't even feel like a will they, won't they. It just feels like, meh, there was such an
Mhm.
intensity between Carly and Jason. Like, even if, let's
Yes.
say, they didn't amp it up, but they did. They amped up the intensity of I gave my life for you. They did that. They showed the audience, look at this, look at this. But even if that wasn't the case, how do you not take the time to process what happened? You know, she was about to marry him. They were about to commit to each other. Sonny comes back and then he dies.
Yeah.
Then he comes back, and then there's this whole thing about, well, why were you away? And I found that story to be kind of choppy. It was like for a long time, they didn't really know what to do with him, and it kinda sucked, you know what I mean? Because he just came back, and it was like, "What are you doing with Jason?" They had him playing with Anna for a while, and then that was completely cut when it came to, let's say, to Sasha when it came to Sasha, and then obviously, like, Britt, they made space for that. But for me, I just felt like there was a lot of just leaving things in the air. You know, Jason came back, and why couldn't you have just wrapped up whatever got opened up between him and Carly and just close it? Like, you know what I mean? If you wanted to close it. And then, you know, create all these other like romances or whatever. And so, as much as I wanted for there to be some follow through between the Jason and Carly intensity, there wasn't. And now I feel like they're dropping the ball on Jason and Britt a little bit.
Yes, I agree.
And now there's so much going on in Carly's life that is really significant that Jason doesn't know about. And I keep thinking about the conversation she had with Jocelyn at Bobby's. And the only thing I can think of, because Joss was pushing her, she was pushing her about, like, why are you being so weird? Why are you being so jealous of Jason? You're being possessive. Like, maybe all these years, everybody thinks, like, oh, you just have a bond. You're just besties. But even her daughter is like, it's too intense. It's too
Yes.
intense to be being called friends. So I just felt that the story was Jason and Carly are being challenged. And again, maybe they still are. But
Mhm.
again, just why can't you tell the story? Why can't there be follow through? Why is it always like here shoving these really weird moments in our faces and then kind of like disappearing altogether? Like, to be honest, I was surprised to see Carly and Jason just having like a random meal.
They don't know the direction that they're bringing them to, and right now, is it an obstacle or their true path down the road? Are they endgame or not?
Yeah, I guess I kind of want to know that. And even if, let's say, I think for me, like you point out, are you endgame? Are you not? But the point is, why aren't we playing with the idea though? You know what I mean? Like even if Jason and Carly aren't together right now, why aren't we playing more with their relationship, right? There's a lot to tell. Like, and it's also a big part of Jason's relationship with Britt, as Brad brought up. There's 50 people ahead of you. Are you gonna fit into this man's life? And like I pointed out for the past few podcasts, that's the roadblock between them, right? And even if you find each other, even if you come back from the dead, even if he saves you from Jen Sidwell, that was literally the one problem you had. And you guys haven't come any closer to resolving it. And the only way to resolve it is if Jason and Carly's relationship shifts completely and they become like normal friends. Like,
Right.
where their partners
Exactly.
come first, you know, to a degree.
It's just hard for me, like, especially with Brit, she has, like, a very young attitude towards it all, and she still
Yeah.
feels, like, competitive towards Carly as opposed to having this, like, quiet confidence about the whole situation. So for the life of me, I cannot see how a person with her personality and Jason's life, how much it's grown and how big
Yeah.
his world is, where they both fit in each other's lives.
No, like she wants to go party at the Savoy and she's asking Jason to do that.
I know, like, What?
And like you pointed out, Jason might be celibate, but all he did was like, "Okay, let's have a kiss. Let me walk you to your
Well,
car
right?
now. Bye." So, yeah, I don't really know what's going on there, but at the very least, I do like Britt when it comes to Brad, like the way that they're playful and funny and comedic, and I
Yes.
kinda like that duo, and to be honest, like, I don't know, like, I hope that there's somebody else that's a bit more fun for her to kind of be with.
Me too, honestly. Ooh, tell me.
There was that theory. Someone threw it out ages ago, and it may not have made sense then, but it could make sense now. Spinelli and Britt.
Oh my gosh, yes, I do remember you talking about that. That would be so fascinating.
Yeah, like, cast aside a little bit. Like, that's the bonding point. Like, with Lulu and Nathan right now,
Mhm.
is the trauma of being in a coma, and it's really interesting when you hear them talk because it's the first time we're getting depth from Lulu. The girl's been in a
Yes.
coma, and all she did when she came out was create chaos, and it's funny watching her kind of share a little bit of that with Nathan because you see that they're deeply affected and how hard it is and how, like, they really understand each other. Like, it makes what Lulu went through real because she was, again, too busy just angry and all that, and we didn't really dive in to the reality of her kind of resuming her life. So when Nathan and her talk about it, it's kind of cool. And when she's like, "You had to outdo me." 7 years. So I think that's really interesting. And if like Maxie comes back, and even if let's say Nathan is dating Lulu, or there's a lot there, or maybe there's a lot of love between him and Lulu, but they don't act on it, and then Maxie comes back. And then what if
Mhm.
Maxie feels a type of way and that causes friction between her and Spinelli? Like, at the end of the day, I think Maxie might get left out in the cold for a little bit on the situation, but
Yes.
I can see how that could maybe lead to, like, Spinelli and Britt maybe bonding,
I can see that too.
and if Carly gets rid of Brennan, but ends up spending more time with Valentine, the sucky part is I would kinda wanna see this thing play out with her and Valentine. The worst part is I can actually see them, like, being something real for a long time.
1000%.
But that can't be, can it?
Yes, sure, why not?
Because, like, if Britt ends up with, like, Spinelli, what happens to Jason? Like, will he start to be jealous? Like, he was jealous with the whole Brennan thing, but what's he gonna do when Carly finds someone real? Again, he's not in the mob. He's not
Mhm.
fully in the WSB. Valentine is kind of in a category of his own. What's the jealousy gonna be about then? Because it's not like Valentine's Brennan. It's not like he's conning Carly. If anything, he was a hero to her, and I think Jason is used to being the only hero, and I don't think he's gonna like that another hero
No, not at
stepped in
all. It's gonna be
for
so and that's
Carly.
what makes it so interesting if she actually has this full-blown relationship because here we are in a position again, it's similar but not to Sunny where she builds this whole life with somebody else. With Sunny, it was a little, because they had to in the beginning and then they fell in love. With Valentine, Carly for a really long time has been forging her path outside of her relationship
Yeah.
with Jason.
Well, and Sunny, right? She's been on her own for a
Yes.
while, so it's weird how, like, I would rather see Jason with Carly, but I'd also okay seeing Carly with Valentine. It's
Yes.
weird. You know what I mean? As much as I wanna see the Jason and Carly thing, but I think that's kind of interesting, right? Because you see it when it comes to Britt. He's desperate to be her hero. Like,
Yes,
that's the only role
absolutely.
he knows, and when it comes to Carly, I mean, honestly, she
Huh.
was married to Sunny for so long, but he always showed up in the nick of time, never Sunny. It doesn't matter who she's with, none of those men can really be there when she's truly in trouble, like actual life and death danger, but Valentine is more than capable of showing up on time. That's real
Okay,
competition
but
for Jason.
you made a really good point there when you're saying that, Jason's looking for a way to save Britt. So Carly has forged her path during the time of Jason's death, figuring out who she is, where she wants to be, trial and error with relationships, distancing herself from the mob, and truly just establishing her life, standing on her own.
Mhm.
Jason hasn't had the time to do that. Like, he came back, he dabbled with, okay, he works at the warehouse, but he's not really involved in Sunny's business anymore. Then he got involved in Sunny's business. Okay, but wait, I have to be a good dad because I've been like an absentee dad. Okay, I'm going back to the quartermain. So he is absolutely still finding his way. And maybe Brit is the whole putting the past behind him with that whole having to save everybody complex and just being supportive and being there in the way that he could be for his family and kids and not running off to Brit when Danny would need him because she
Okay,
couldn't
so
pay a bill.
yeah. So this is you think about Jason growing and not necessarily ending up with Britt unless she grows. Like, you'd have to create a story, and I just don't find like, as much as to me it looked obvious, like, okay, you're creating space for, like, a Jason Britt thing, but it's story-wise, no. What are you actually writing to bring them together? Like, I don't see that. There's, like, a wedge and a wall between these 2.
Exactly that. So it's either his way of figuring out his life and hers. It won't necessarily bring them together, but she also has a lot of growing to do as well. Maybe they can support each other in that, but I cannot see them together.
And even if it's not like a Carly Jason romance, I just think the Carly Jason friendship that, let's say, Joss has questioned, Britt has questioned, I want that subtle story told. Like, because I think that if they're going
Yes.
to move on in their lives and he's going to move on with someone else, or she has something with Valentine, I feel like those dynamics have to resolve unless they're planning to do it like just naturally, where they're just literally never in scenes together. Or we're going to pretend this like 20-year friendship that all of us have watched and all of us know the Jason Carly rules are just going to evaporate. And I don't really want that. I don't want that special relationship to just disappear. I'd like it to evolve, and I'd want to witness that story being told rather than shoved under the
Yes.
rug. Kind of like with Chase, like there's a lot of story there, consequences to his actions, how that affects the family he married into. Like, I also
Mhm.
want that story told. It's not just about him in Brooklyn, it's like the whole family. The way he went at Michael, his relationship with
Yes.
Dante, his relationship with Tracy. Like, I want those like more subtle dynamic stories to be told. Like, I feel like they're getting told with Portia Curtis and Isaiah, and that's fun.
Love it so much. That B story of wanting to keep the paternity to herself, just putting together why Dr. Gannon's so protective. I just found it's funny. It's like it's not a surprise. We know the way
Yeah.
he approached Gannon. It was just so funny. It's like, well, now I know who's your hero. I'm like, Curtis, when on earth were you Portia's hero? When?
I know. Okay, that it was gold to me. Like, I like how I don't really care what Portia wants to do, right? If she doesn't wanna do the
Yeah.
paternity test, she doesn't wanna do the paternity test. And I know for her, she's like, "I'm not ready." And I'm like, "Honestly, what's the point anyway?" They know. Like, they know it's either or. So at this point, like, forget it. Like, what irks me, and it could not be any more Curtis, is the fact that he went around Portia because that's all she's ever been is an object to him, right? Like, he's never really treated her
Yeah.
like a person, and then
Mhm.
going to Brit being like, "I want this done." She's like, "That's not how it works," and I love that Isaiah piped up because look in the mirror, Curtis. Like, you may not care about her, and just because you never valued her, it doesn't mean someone else doesn't, and it's kind of like it shocks him because he has his
Right?
family, and so when he hates Portia, they hate Portia. When Portia makes a mistake, she's the only person in the world to have make a mistake. When Portia does something wrong, it erases his wrongs. And
Yes.
so then all of a sudden there's Isaiah, and I'm like, good job, mistress, defending your lover like that. It's kind of like he's so used to treating her like crap. And it's like for him, it's shocking that someone cares. And so for that, I hope the baby isn't his.
I know, me too.
So I feel like in that story, because I just find like in that story, they're more on the normie side of things. And I
Yes.
just feel like in their story, we get the nitty gritty. We get all the dynamics and we get a lot of that getting played out. And I find that to be satisfying. And I find some of that stuff has been missing with the whole Jason, Carly, Britt romance, like all those relationships.
I totally agree. Oh my gosh. I think we talked about all the things. We covered all of the stuff. One thing I do need to say before we go to stars and lines,
Hmm.
there was a scene with Kevin and Laura and the whole Ireland conversation. And I am
Yeah.
become a huge fan because of you of Beyond the Gates. And
Yeah.
all I could see in that scene was a little bit of Joey
Yeah.
creeping into Kevin.
Yeah, okay, because like, that whole conversation, again, it was so back and forth, and I'm like and they do tend to do that when it's, like, sudden, like, "I'm not gonna go." "Oh, okay, so you're staying," and I'm like, "So why are we talking about Ireland?" And it was like, "No, I am gonna go permanently," and she tells that to Martin. Kevin and Ace are gone permanently, and I'm like, "Oh." Okay. Bye, Kevin. But yeah, the whole time I was watching that story, I'm like, so he's going back to be Joey. What's the deal? Is he
Exactly.
more Joey, a bit of Kevin? Is he no Kevin, all Joey? So I was just that's really where my mind was going and all that.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any favorite line?
I don't think I wrote down any favorite lines, but I definitely have gold star. Like, I liked the very real reference to Luke today with Laura and Sunny by
Yeah.
saying, like, there was a visceral part of her that wanted to reach out to Luke in that moment, which makes so much sense for the story and their history. So gold star
Mhm.
to that. Gold star to the freaking trial of the century.
Yes, all of the gold stars. My favorite line, it's a part of the line, it was the whole, like, Britt and Brad scene when, he was kind of lecturing her about Jason. She's like, "Okay, dad, like, he totally didn't get fresh with me." That is such, like, an old school term, and it completely made me laugh that it was just, like, so perfect.
No, they are perfect together. Like when he made reference to the moss, he made reference to there's so many people coming before you. And I feel like again, speaking on behalf of the audience and what we've been saying, so I kind of really, really love that. Gold star to just like Portia and Isaiah. I'm just gonna have to say it. Unfortunately, I cannot give a gold star to Jordan and Curtis. So sorry.
Nope.
Gold star to Susan. Look,
Oh,
I don't
yes.
I don't care for Drew, but a gold star to him on the stand. That was some entertaining stuff.
No, honestly, I had goosebumps between his testimony, Willow's testimony with the kind of like replay of how things happened. Would you consider that a montage or more like a scene play out?
What part?
All of
The
like when
Willow?
she's saying what she's saying, yes, and then them showing all the actions behind it, like that was gold. I absolutely had
Flashback?
goosebumps.
A flashback
Flash.
montage. And I recorded
Yes.
her voice, so when I posted that, I keep
Yes, it was so
repeating the
good.
line, "No, I didn't touch that gun." I'm like, "Yeah, you did, 3
So
times."
good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Martin is on to Laura, by the way, and I'm like, "Martin can't
Yes.
know because you know that he's gonna create chaos and try to take out Sunny for Laura." But I will have to say this about their discussion of Valentine because, like, Laura's making up crap. She's like,
Oh
"Valentine
yeah,
is
so
terrible,"
funny.
and it's like, no, she has, like, a decent relationship with him. And then when Martin said, "In all fairness, Valentine would never go after a child," I'm like, "He did, Spencer."
He
I
did
just wanted
though,
to
yeah.
correct that for the record. Valentine at one time would have gone after someone else's. I'm gonna give a gold star to this hilarious background moment. So when Laura and Martin arrive at the restaurant, if you notice in the background, Ezra sits down and then he stretches, and you're like, "What's he doing?" He's using, like, his pinkies to smooth out his eyebrows.
No, I
And
totally
he's
missed that. That's
and he's doing
amazing.
that in the background, and I thought that that was amazing. Gold star to Carly and Valentine being like, "I have to go." She's like, "Don't, but that is what I was gonna come tell you to do. But now you can't." So I loved that.
Also, I love you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's your cutie pie moment of the week? Was it that?
Can they be cute? I think it's gonna have to go to Gio and Wiley, even though that was messed up. And literally the clincher in like a murder mystery, you know? It's like cute, but completely crazy.
Oh, unhinged, absolutely, but it's
Yeah,
Port Charles.
yeah. Imagine Gio thinks he's playing Wiley, and then Wiley's like, "Could you go grab me some cookies while I break a court order and call my mom?"
My gosh, that was so good. I'm like, boy, you have lived with the Quartermains too long.
I know.
And Gio's too new. Oh my goodness. Wait, let's share your where do we find your cutie pie coloring book, friend?
Yeah, there's a link on our Instagram page at Cutie Pie Coloring if you want to go to Instagram and just check out the coloring pages or go directly to Amazon and look up Cutie Pie Coloring Book.
We're so happy to be back. It was a fantastic week. That's a wrap, folks. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye bye.
Bye.